we met here in Bloomington back in the late 80s, early 90s. And so we figured that's not such a terrible place to be. Let's go there. It's not a terrible place to be, and I will fight anybody who says different.
Welcome to Season 9 of the No Dishes Podcast, presented by our friends at Gameday Men's Health. They have a wide variety of services. You can find out more at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. I've been seeing them for 5 months, have lost over 50 pounds, but they do so much more than just weight loss. We're so appreciative to them of showing their support for the local restaurant community and highlighting the people that make it go. DJ, spin that track.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. No dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine, relax and have a good time. No dishes, no dishes.
We're breaking off of the restaurant path today, and I'm really excited. If you're in the know, it's everyone's favorite couple here in town, at least mine. It's the executive director of Heading Home, Mary Morgan, and the creator of the Bsquare Bulletin, Dave Askins. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
And we hope we can talk about some restaurants and food stuff.
We definitely will. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's always like, we always got to wrap up on like, okay, where are we going out to eat, all that. But you guys do so much cool work in the community. And I've known both of you for a long time. So I'm like, we got to get you on. Let's talk. I don't care that's not a restaurant. Like, the Bsquare is essential to the community. Heading Home does a lot of cool work that people might not be familiar with. And so I want to dive into both of them, talk about both of your backgrounds. Is it Ann Arbor?
We lived in Ann Arbor for over 20 years, right?
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. Well, every time I'm like, was it Grand Rapids or Ann Arbor? I always second guess myself when I'm talking to you guys. So I nailed it. I'll take it.
There you go.
You got to take your wins when you can get them. Well, Mary, let's start with you about Heading Home.
Sure.
What Heading Home is, how long is, because it's newer, I believe, and all the work that Heading Home does that people might not be familiar with.
Yeah. So Heading Home is an organization. We're a 501c3, and we were set up to be a backbone organization to help this region end homelessness. We're doing a lot of work in a variety of areas. So we have a data dashboard on our website. We have an initiative to end veteran homelessness. And we're implementing a pretty large grant that the Community Foundation got from the Lilly Endowment to really address unsheltered homelessness. So doing a lot of work, not very well known yet, I think. We've only been around since 2021, 22. So just really trying to make a difference in a pretty big social problem.
That's great. So how do you guys work with maybe the people that are more familiar with Beacon, Shalom Center, and how do you guys work in collaboration with those other service providers in Bloomington?
Yeah, we have deep partnerships with all of the service providers. I know you had Emily Pike in here recently. She's chair of my board. We have a lot of collaborations with New Hope. So, for example, Heading Home has several street outreach case managers embedded in different organizations. We have 2 embedded in Beacon, 2 embedded in HealthNet, and 2 embedded in Centerstone. And we have some diversion and prevention case managers. They are also embedded with partner agencies. In that case, it's New Hope has a case manager for diversion and prevention. The library, which is a new collaboration we think is really important. And then the townships, the township trustee offices, Perry and Bloomington townships. So we're trying to do some things differently and really make a difference in people's lives and, get people housed.
Yeah. So have you been the executive director since its founding?
Right. I was the first employee. I was the first. And for many years, it was just 2 of us. My colleague, Tatiana Wheeler, who is associate director. The 2 of us are really just have been doing this for, 4 years now. And then recently we've made some new hires. So changing what we're doing, expanding, and really trying to make a difference.
And then how many staff are you up to now?
Oh my gosh. I think
I'm going to put you on the spot.
I think we're at, 4 of us, I think we're at 13 now.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
9, 10,
I'm saying like I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yep, sounds right to me.
This is just like super, like this is in the past month that we've been past couple months we've been added people. So I'm still, trying to wrap my head around how much bigger we are, and we're still based at the mill. So we're lucky as a community. I'm sure you've had folks in here from the mill.
Of course, yeah.
Amazing that we can basically not have the overhead of an office and can use that co-sharing or co-working space that has been really great. You bump up against people in the community that you wouldn't otherwise see, university, town, business. So yeah, we feel really lucky to have that here.
So what's the tech startup aspect of heading home? I'm just kidding.
Well, I feel like we are a counterbalance to the tech bro culture at the mill. So we're adding some estrogen and some, nonprofit-y kind of vibe.
That's good. I think everywhere needs some balance.
Yeah, and we try to bring in our fair share of like donuts for the group, and try to make sure that we're a good member of the community there.
Yeah. I mean, I can always get on board with donuts. So. Well, I know it's, it's probably the number one thing that people talk about within the community. And I have a lot that I want to dive into with you on that, but we got some time, and Dave is being so patient.
He is.
And
I could listen to Mary Morgan talk all day.
You guys are so adorable. I love it.
Okay, thank you. Sure, right.
Like, you guys want to see what true love looks like? Right. Dave, Bsquare Beacon, incredible resource for the community. You're covering a lot of stuff that no one else is covering. And I think it's really important that people have that insight. You really know what's going on behind the scenes of local government and a lot of things. Tell us about Bsquare. You closed for a little bit. You kind of started back up. How did it come about? What is its purpose?
I'll tell you how it came about. I couldn't find a regular job when we moved to Bloomington. So the short story of why we moved to Bloomington is that it was a geographic compromise between South Dakota and Ann Arbor, Michigan. So
it's a long story, Jordan.
I was like, I'm no geography major, but
yeah, so it's actually it's the geometric average of those two locations.
Really?
And it's also a love story.
So I fell out of love with Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay.
And decided I need to get the heck out of there. And I got a job at a newspaper in South Dakota. And that's pretty far away from Ann Arbor, Michigan. That was the main positive attribute of that job.
Except for me.
Yeah.
I was still there.
Yeah. So Mary Morgan stayed there. And my theory was that if she came out and visited, she would fall in love with that place because I would be there. And she visited, but it was not enough.
You weren't enough.
So after
all of your charm wasn't enough.
After a couple of years, we decided we should address that geographic separation.
Yeah.
And we met here in Bloomington back in the late 80s, early 90s, one of those time spans. And so we figured that's not such a terrible place to be. Let's go there.
That should be the new Bloomington tagline.
Let's go
not
there.
A terrible place to be.
It's not. It's not a terrible place to be, and I will fight anybody who says different.
Yeah. No.
So anyway, but the idea was we'll move there, and we'll get jobs of some sort. I mean, this is not a career move. This is like you find something to do, and I figured, well, there's a university there, and what people said to me, and I believed them. Oh yeah, the university has lots of jobs that you would be suitable for, and I think, you reach a certain point in your life, and I certainly reached this point where you take different turns and you end up with a resume that says to people, I have no focus or direction. And that's not really the kind of person that the folks at the university are looking for.
Right.
And so local journalism was a fallback. I figured, well, I know how to do that. I've been doing that for the last 15 years. I'll see if I can't do that again. So that's why I started the Bsquare Beacon at the time, and eventually the name changed to Bulletin because.
Okay.
Because yeah,
newsflash, Jordan.
Yeah,
I did a lot of pre-production on this, a lot of research. If you
Yeah.
can tell,
I could tell.
yeah.
Nice
well,
one.
So the the local homeless shelter folks, they changed their name to Beacon, and it wasn't instantaneous, but I have to say, Forrest Gilmore and the folks at the Shalom, at that time, Shalom Community Foundation. Is that what it's called? No.
Shalom Center.
Shalom Center.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought the word community is in there. Shalom Community Center. I think that's what it was called. Anyway, Forrest called me up and said, hey, we need to have coffee. And he let me know that their board had basically okayed, sort of contingent on how I felt about it. And I thought, well, how I feel about it is Beacon is a great name. I can understand why you chose it. And, nobody's going to confuse the local government news outlet with the homeless shelter. And so it was fine. But at some point, I thought it was important to actually change the name so that there would eliminate any possibility of any confusion. Anyway, why am I talking about the name right now?
You're fine because I screwed it up.
Okay.
Because I called it the Bsquare Beacon.
Yeah, but
it's the Bsquare Bulletin, and Garrett has it on the screen right there, and I still said the wrong thing.
But here's the thing. That's something I absolutely never correct anybody about because I will occasionally also make that mistake. The name of the company, the LLC, is still the Bsquare Beacon.
Yeah.
So when I write checks to people, to freelancers, for example, that's the name on the check. If you look it up, that's the name.
You always got to just keep people guessing. That's what I've always told myself, So when was it, to give time frame here, when was this that you guys moved to Bloomington?
It was about this time of year in 2018.
Okay.
That's right.
So been back for 7 years.
Yep.
And so how long did it take you're back here to start Bsquare?
So June of 2019, actually July 1st of 2019 is when I began actually systematically covering local government. I set up the website way before that as just a place to park things because I figured, well, and Mary Morgan also created things at the time. In fact, wasn't it the 2019 primary elections? You put together profiles?
Yep. We ran a similar news site in Ann Arbor, so we're used to working together on this kind of thing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Well, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I wasn't going to say anything terribly important.
Well, I wanted to ask about that because I knew in our just conversations in passing that you guys did something similar to this in Ann Arbor.
Yes.
How did that start? What was it? And how similar is it to what you're doing now?
So I had an earlier career as a journalist, and we actually ended up moving to Ann Arbor for a job that I had at the Ann Arbor News, which was the equivalent to the HT here. And I worked there for, 12 years or something. And I don't know if you've heard, but newspapers are dying.
So I've heard, yeah.
So the newsroom was shrinking. We had fewer resources. It was just not a great place to be. There were management decisions that I disagreed with. And I had gone to a seminar at some point, and there were people who were presenting about they had started similar online news sites in their communities. And I think I came back at one point and said, I feel like we could do this here. I don't know if your memory is the same as that, but anyway, at some point we decided that we would give it a try. And you had already started the Teeter Talk, so you were kind of in that space.
Ooh, Teeter Talk. Please do tell.
So this was back in the golden era of blogging, the mid 2000s, like 2003 through maybe 2008 or 9.
Yeah.
And, it was at a point when everybody said, oh, you got to get a blog. Everybody had a blog. And there were, various options to choose from. And I thought, well, if I just start writing and there's no governance, like there's no break on that, I'll just fill screens with words and everybody will be bored to death. And so I thought I need to create some kind of a challenge. And the challenge was, in order to write a blog post or in order to have a blog post, somebody would have to agree to come over and be interviewed on the Teeter-Totter that I built in my backyard. I built it as a wedding anniversary present, and then I thought...
It was a great present.
What a hopeless romantic.
And I thought, well, I need to get more mileage out of this, and hey, that will be the thing that I build a blog off of.
I love it.
And so that's what I did. Actually, the anniversary of the very first. It's no longer on the internet. I see that somebody's trying to look for it.
You have to find it on the Wayback Machine.
Oh, there's something there. The Ann Arbor Chronicle Teeter Talk.
Oh, right.
That would be it. Yeah.
I was like, we'll find some remnants.
There we go.
Look, it's Bill Merrill.
So in the early days, I cross-posted the blog entries on Teeter Talk on the Ann Arbor Chronicle. I had forgotten that we did that. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot too.
Oh, wow. There's even more
Chris
than
Carey. I'd forgotten about. Yeah.
From 2011, yes. 14-year-old blog posts.
Wow. Okay. Well, actually,
and there's a picture of the portable.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Scroll up a little bit. All right. So that is the apparently doesn't enlarge. Okay. So that is the custom-made tarp that, was it Fox Tent and Awning in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Yep.
I took the rig in there, which was the base, and then it disassembled the base and the board, and they measured it up. I left it there overnight, and they measured it out, and they made that thing to cover the Teeter-Totter when I was hauling it to places on location. That was Totter 2.0.
Oh, okay.
So
I would have loved to have been driving around and just seen you riding your bike with that thing in tow.
Gosh.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I built the thing to haul around to different locations because I felt like I was losing out on interview opportunities from people who were a little bit creeped out by the invitation.
Yeah, hey, come to my backyard.
Come to my backyard, get on my Teeter-Totter.
Although it's amazing how many people just said, sure.
Yeah,
They didn't even know you. And they said, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite denial letters or denial emails, not denial, what's the word I'm looking for?
Rejection.
Rejection, yeah. So, Christiana Amanpour, she's a CNN journalist of some great fame now, but she came through Ann Arbor as the, I think, the commencement speaker for some University of Michigan event. And I somehow tracked down her email address and I sent her an invitation, and she actually responded. She herself personally responded to the invitation, politely declining. And a couple of years later, she got some promotion or there was some big career change. And I emailed her and I said, I'm sure that this is one of your life's regrets that you did not. And she had some, pleasant response. But I thought, someday I'm going to get to meet her in person, I feel like.
Hasn't happened yet?
It hasn't happened yet, but I'm not dead yet. So
still time.
There's still time. But yeah, back to the origins of the Ann Arbor Chronicle, I just wanted to offer my perspective on the founding story.
Of course.
So yeah, I do remember that Mary Morgan went off to some conference. I mean, the newspaper paid for her to go, get up to speed on the latest in publishing because
new media.
The internet was going to be a thing, right? We could all figure out that, it's going to have an impact. And so they sent her to figure out what the impact was going to be. And she came back and said, I'm going to found my own publication and destroy my other one.
Yeah, backfired.
No, I mean, to be clear, that was not the intent. But
it's just a side effect.
Yeah.
There was, it did not become we until later than I think Mary Morgan just portrayed it. Because the standard story I will typically tell if she's not in the same room is I will say, Mary Morgan tricked me into this because I knew how the internet worked because I had this blog called Teeter Talk. And, I had learned online culture. I learned the technical back end of things. That blog is something I actually hand-coded in HTML.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I knew how the internet worked. I knew all that technical stuff. And so I thought, I can help by providing all the back-end website support, and I will contribute these Teeter Talk interviews. That will be my thing. And then I don't know, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I remember sitting in the city council chambers in Ann Arbor, Michigan, thinking, how exactly did this happen?
Yeah, hold on. You're like, wait a second.
Because, I mean, this is not something I went to school for. It's not something I aspired to do.
Yeah.
But I figured, it's not rocket science. I mean, people say things, you write them down, you try to figure out what they meant or what the background fact might be behind the thing they just said, and then you report it. It's not that hard. So I've been doing that since then.
Yeah, quite some time.
Yeah.
But I will say the thing that I loved about what we did there is that we really had an influence and changed the things that were reported in the traditional, like, mainstream media. We started covering just smaller boards and commissions that were never in the public eye, and broke a lot of news that way. And then the traditional newspaper, the Ann Arbor News, needed to up its game and started covering some of the same things. So I thought that was really interesting how just a really tiny, there were just the two of us, so we were small at the beginning, could influence the mainstream media.
Yeah, it's a great example where competition actually breeds innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you wanting to move better, feel better, and live better? Look no further than Move Bloomington, where their small group personal training programs are designed to improve strength, balance, and flexibility. With a welcoming environment, their expertly guided workouts can help you feel supported in the life and activities you love in and out of the gym. Whether you're new to exercise, a lifelong athlete, or anywhere in between, their dedication to personalized programming will deliver sessions that meet you where you are. Visit movebloomington.com to learn more and get started today. Ralphie's to the rescue this holiday season. Don't miss Constellation Stage and Screen's family holiday show, A Christmas Story the Musical, on stage December 11th through January 4th at the Waldron Auditorium. Based on the beloved 1983 film, A Christmas Story the Musical brings laughter, nostalgia, and holiday cheer to life, with unforgettable moments like the infamous leg lamp, outrageous pink bunny pajamas, a maniacal department store Santa, and a triple dog dare gone wrong. From the songwriting team behind Dear Evan Hansen, La La Land, and The Greatest Showman, this delightful holiday musical is a joyous celebration of Christmas, family, and childhood dreams. See it on stage this holiday season, December 11th through January 4th in downtown Bloomington. Find tickets at cconstellation.org. I've been using WaterTech pools for all of my pool and hot tub needs for 2 seasons now and cannot recommend them highly enough. Jason, Brian, and their entire team are incredibly knowledgeable and can help you with your next pool installation, closing or opening, or just helping you maintain your chemicals and cleanliness throughout the year. They even do custom stainless steel pools. Learn more at Jays, that's Jays, watertechpools.com.
A specific example of that was the Downtown Development Authority in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's roughly the equivalent of the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission here, in that they are the steward of the tax increment finance revenue. But I remember thinking, okay, what do we need to cover? That's core. I mean, they handle millions of dollars. They run the entire parking system in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so, I just started covering their monthly meetings, and it became apparent that it was an expectation then that the community had, well, okay, if you're a news outlet, you should be covering this stuff that's happening at the Downtown Development Authority. And so, the reporter from the Ann Arbor News started showing up to those meetings. So, yeah.
It's like, oh, welcome. Keeping your seat warm for you.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome, though, that you can have that effect in the community. And not everyone has time to watch the city council meetings or these other commission meetings. And so to be able to have someone that takes the time to attend them, puts down in a fairly concise yet detailed manner, I think that's why I said at the top of the show where I was like, it's an essential service to the community. And I think you had closed down there for a little bit. I think people felt that, and they're like, well, there's not anywhere else to get this. The Herald Times isn't covering it like you do, and no one else is. So Dave, walk me through, I guess, a little bit where you did shut down for a little bit, and then you're just like, oh, I'm just kidding, we're coming back.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, verbatim, I think. Yeah.
No, I was absolutely not kidding.
Yeah, I know you were.
Yeah. Well, actually, coming back, I conditioned on one premise, and that is I wanted to make the Bsquare Bulletin about more than just local government. And that's the thing that sort of gets me through the day now, knowing that, okay, I'm trying to cover the whole community, or that's what I aspire to. I'm not by any stretch covering the whole community at this point. I mean, there's a tagline now, Total News for Bloomington. That's aspirational. Yeah. I know that's not accurate yet.
And it's a one-person show, right?
It's one person now. I mean, what I have added is some freelance work. We covered the Bloomington North, Bloomington South, and Edgewood High School football seasons.
Oh, okay.
So, and I have had 2 really great freelance photogs at the North and South games, an IU journalism student covering the write-ups, and frankly, I think that that Sean McAvoy has set the gold standard for what a game write-up should be for high school football.
Shout out to Sean.
What was I talking about?
Well, just how you're covering more than just local government.
Right. So the idea is that I want the Bsquare Bulletin to become essentially Bloomington's local paper.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's not just the local government, which in my farewell end of transmission message, I described it as dysfunctional, and I've yet to hear anybody challenge me on that or fight with me about how that's not actually dysfunctional. It can be really disheartening when that's all you write about. There's parts of local government that are actually a thrill to write about. And
like what?
Like the Board of Public Works, because my favorite joke to tell about this, if you can consider it a joke, is Board of Public Works. Nobody's ever Board of Public Works.
Board, get it? Yeah. Board, I get it.
But actually, but going back to sort of the roots of the Ann Arbor Chronicle as I remember it, part of the reason that it appealed to me, part of the reason it was easy to trick me into doing it is that I didn't think of it as, journalism per se. I thought of it as a chance to write about the ordinary people in our community who are doing the job that nobody else wants to do, of serving either on the Board of Public Works or on the City Council or the County Board of Commissioners. All these jobs that I don't think they're glamorous. They're not. We don't celebrate them really. The elected officials maybe to some extent, but the appointees, the people who serve on the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission or the Plan Commission or the Board of Public Works, who are these people? Every town in America has got something like these folks. And, you never saw, in the old Ann Arbor News, I don't think I ever saw coverage of a Plan Commission meeting or the equivalent of the Board of Public Works up there. Do they have one of those? Actually, I'm not sure that they do. But in any case, the idea was you put people on the front page who otherwise, like in the past, would never even, their meeting wouldn't be covered.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because it's a boring meeting. Nothing really happened. They didn't make the final decision. But the idea was to celebrate the rank and file residents of the community who are doing the thankless tasks, doing the chores, You know, doing the chores, like doing the dishes, right? They're the people who are doing the dishes of civic work.
Yeah, and we appreciate that because we know it's a hard task.
Yeah.
I also think that there's another really important reason to cover those things, because a lot of times something will show up to city council and people will be surprised. And they'll say, where did this come from? It's out of the blue. Nobody ever knew about it. But it actually originates most times out of those smaller committee meetings. And so if you get there quickly and when those discussions first start, then you are able to give input throughout the process.
Right.
And then by the time it comes to the last decision, you're aware of it and you've already had some influence.
Yeah, no surprises. Well, and it reminds me of like referees. You know, no one talks about them when they do a good job. You know, but if they screw something up, they're hearing about it. And I think they really are public servants. Like that name is true. Like, yeah, city council makes 20 some grand a year. Some of them are not paid at all. They're doing things that make the city run. Mm-hmm. And again, it really is, I think, thankless. And they're voluntarily opening themselves up to a lot of scrutiny. Mm-hmm. And that's, I don't know. I don't think that's for everybody. You know, that's a lot of pressure anywhere you go. I mean, every time you're dining out, someone might be like, oh, that so-and-so does this. And maybe they're like, oh, they had a third drink, or, who knows, But I'm just saying, like, you really are opening yourself up to a lot just because you're like, I want to have an impact and I want to help, be part of the change that I want to see in our city. Mm-hmm. So I think it's awesome that you cover it. We'll bounce back to Bsquare. I want to bounce back over to heading home. This is always the fun part when we have two entities on one episode. We're going to balance.
How often do you have two people who have different?
That's a great question. A lot of times we do have two guests, and there is like bouncing back and forth between the two on their backstories.
Yeah.
So there is definitely an element of that, or like the episode we put out today, which I didn't yet, Garrett, I'm sorry, I realized on the way over here, but it's for the Bloomington Winners Farmers Market. Mm. Now we're talking about the farmers market, but they both have their own farm. Okay. So we're bouncing back and forth about this farm and that farm. And I don't know. It's fun. I enjoy the challenge from the host standpoint.
Have you had any other couples that are not like working together on the same project?
That's a great question. Garrett, can you think of any? I don't think we have. You guys
I feel like we're trailblazers then.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to use the T word, but I think it's appropriate.
We had Kale and Zach.
Yeah, that's true. Kale and Zach. So, but they both work on Pride Fest.
Okay.
But Kale runs Backdoor. Zach has worked at Atlas for a long time. But they were both here talking about Pride Fest.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they had two different jobs that we were kind of talking about. So, Mayor, you and I actually got to go on a trip recently.
Yeah.
With Mayor Thompson, Reverend Matt from Trinity Church on Kirkwood, Brian Fabers from BPD, Brian Griffin, the homeless response coordinator. Is that the title?
Yes.
I think nailed it.
No, nice.
But it was a group of 6 of us from the city that went out to Denver and Boulder and got to meet with city officials and learn about things that they're implementing there. I'm curious if you're willing to just maybe talk about your perspective of the trip and maybe some things that you learned that you weren't expecting. Because I think so many people, they see the unhoused in our community and see people struggling, some no fault of their own. Mm-hmm. They see businesses and how they're impacted, and it's something that everyone seems to have an opinion on. And so for me, it was a very enlightening trip in a lot of different ways, made me look at a few things in a different way. But this is what you live and breathe for work.
Yeah.
And so I know I have my thoughts, but I just went as kind of a business person. You're going as this is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm running, heading home. What were kind of some of your takeaways?
Well, I mean, I am interested in hearing what you think too. And I know we're going to be debriefing in a couple of weeks with that original crew. One thing I learned is that you can get a sunburn far easier at higher altitudes. So that's a life lesson. About that.
You had told me, I was like, what? No way. Because I didn't notice when we were there.
Yep. Got a really bad burn. So I feel stupid about that. But
you know what they say about November in Denver,
I don't know what they say.
I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
Oh. Tell me.
You should have known.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you recovered.
Yeah, thank you. So there were a lot of things, and I will say that this trip was a couple of days before we had a Built for Zero conference, also in Denver, and I think the mayor kind of tried to coordinate that. Mm-hmm. So the whole week was very much about learning and finding out about other communities and trying to understand better ways that we can help people be housed. The couple of things in Boulder. We met with Mike Mather, who's a Presbyterian, or not a Presbyterian, Methodist pastor. He had previously run a church in Indianapolis. I think it was Broadway Church.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he has started this program that I think is really inspiring, and I would love to see it here in Bloomington. Basically, the church pays people who are unhoused or recently unhoused to be what they call illuminators. So their whole work is to talk with their peers who are unhoused and find out what their talents are, what their dreams are, what their skills are, and then match those dreams and talents and skills to things in the community that can lift them up. One of the examples that we actually experienced there is somebody who liked to cook and was catering our lunch for the group that was meeting with folks at the church. But the idea is that you find somebody who likes to cook. Maybe you have them cater a small church committee or church event. And then maybe the next step is you have them, you pay for them to cater a larger event, maybe with the Chamber of Commerce. And then the church would buy business cards for them for a catering business and help them navigate how to set up an LLC and how to market themselves. So you have somebody who had something they could do, but nobody really had asked them to find, well, what do you like to do and what can you do? And then you take that seed and you grow it. And I think that that's really powerful. And a lot of times we look at people who are on the streets or who are really struggling in poverty in one way or another, and we say, what do you need?
Yep.
And it's that more paternalistic approach as opposed to, what do you love to do? What can you do? What do you want to do? And what are your assets as a person? And really grow off of that. So that's something that I talked to Matt and then Adrienne Meyer, who is with St. Thomas Lutheran.
Okay.
She's on my board of directors. We're going to meet in December and talk about how can we shape this for our community. Maybe it looks like the downtown churches come together to many congregants or several congregants are unhoused in those churches. What can we do here to sort of replicate that? And I think Mike Mather would be helpful as being a mentor to us. So
certainly.
That was a Denver thing. And then you and I talked with many of the Illuminators in Denver. And I don't know what your impressions were about that program.
Yeah, no, it was super cool. I mean, just again, how he phrased it, where it's just like it was asset based something versus need based. What was that third word? Because I've talked to a lot of people since I've gotten back from this trip about that and that approach and how can we put you in a position to contribute and feel fulfilled versus what do you need? What can we do for you? Almost having a savior complex.
That's right.
Which is a really great way to look at things instead of, oh, how can I help you? It's, hey, what are you good at? Let's put you in a role that you're going to succeed, where you're going to be able to afford housing, and the community is going to benefit off of your talents as well.
That's right.
So it's just everyone wins instead of a Band-Aid and obviously, meeting needs is important. You want to make sure people are fed and sheltered as you can, but that's not a long-term solution. It's that time. Bloom Magazine's third annual local restaurant survey is now live. New format, new questions, and now you can name more than one favorite in each category and add your own comments about specific dishes, exceptional staff, or why you love the food. Vote today for your favorite Bloomington restaurants at magbloom.com/food and look for your responses in the annual food issue. That's magbloom.com/food. Cast your votes today. Season 9 of the No Dishes podcast is presented by our friends at Gameday Men's Health. I've been seeing them for the past 5 months and have lost over 50 pounds using tirzepatide. But they do so much more than just weight loss. Whether you're suffering from fatigue, loss of motivation, poor sleep, or other wellness concerns, Gameday Men's Health can help. Check out GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to schedule your free testosterone test and consultation to get yourself back in the game. Better business, better community. For over a century, the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce has been a cornerstone of business growth and community development. They are dedicated to helping local businesses thrive. Their business is all about your business. Join the Chamber today. Call 812-336-6381 or visit chamberbloomington.org to learn more. If you can put them in these positions to succeed, that's fantastic. But I know, speaking with Travis, who was one of the Illuminators, he was unhoused us up until a few months before we had met with him.
Yeah.
And he was just so energized, and you could just tell how happy the Illuminators we met with were. And again, how they really did seem to feel fulfilled because they were doing something with their talents, and they are in a much better spot in their lives. But they also gave us an interesting perspective because in Boulder we met with the police chief of staff, a couple police officers that they have that are non-enforcement officers. So they create this relationship and this trust with the unhoused community, and they never arrest anyone. They never write tickets. So that way, when there is an issue, maybe there is a problem person that is making things unsafe, they feel comfortable going to them to have the situation rectified.
That's right.
Which I thought was also really fascinating.
Yeah. And I think that the downtown resource officers, which Mark Fabris leads, do a really good job of that here. And I think he was also really excited to hear some of the different ways that they approach that and to learn from them too. So that was really cool. Boulder was really a great trip, I thought.
Yeah.
The flip side of that, so I feel like Boulder, there was an example of not a lot of investment, but a really powerful outcome. And in Denver, we heard about major investments on the order of, 140 million or more in the current administration, and what that looks like and how that can transform lives. I mean, the investment that they made to basically buy up or lease hotels so that there's some non-congregate options for people who, one of the challenges we have in our shelter system is that there's a men's shelter, there's a women's shelter, there's a domestic violence shelter, and there's a family shelter. But if you are a couple, for example, you don't really fit. There's no place for you if you don't have kids, and there's really no obvious place for you to be together in shelter. Or if you have an animal or something like that. But what Denver did is to buy up these hotels, which then you could have a room and you could be a couple and stay together in a non-congregate setting. So I think that was really an interesting idea. But again, it goes back to, do you have the mechanism to afford to do some of those things? The city had, because they're in Colorado, they have a little bit of different options for revenue streams. They're supporting it with a sales tax, which we wouldn't have the option to do that here in this community in the same way. So just looking at what they were able to do. And then also that transition, they're now having some budgetary issues, and we heard about those. And I think that you got a lot of federal dollars from the pandemic that has been invested, and now you're seeing how can that be sustained? And they've done a really good job at moving people into housing. Can they sustain it? And that's what I think we're going to look at for the next few years in Denver.
Yeah, it was fascinating. It was really interesting. Again, so many perspectives from, they have this business improvement district. And you could do a general improvement district. You can do a tourism improvement district. And it formed in the 80s, but really it kind of taken off more recently under the most recent administration. And the things that they had done over this 120 blocks to where essentially businesses, for example, if all the businesses downtown in Bloomington got together and said, the city has made clear what needs they can meet. We don't think that's going to be enough for us. We're going to come together, all contribute to this fund to cover that gap.
Right.
And they've done a great job with it from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And everyone we talked to, whether it was the people from the mayor's office, from the Downtown Denver Partnership, they all really seemed, it wasn't we just need to get these people out of the way so we can sell ice cream or whatever. That really was they know that that's not the long-term solution. They all seem very bought into what is the long-term solution. We visited a tiny home village that they had put together in a parking lot that the city owned. It was 40 some units, $18,000 a unit. And it gave people a place to have their own space. Now very small, but there was 2 buildings with washer and dryers and bathrooms and showers and kitchens. And it seemed like a really good in between where you have a little more privacy than a shelter. And you have your own door, which we take for granted. That's something that is huge. I've got my own door.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about who is sleeping right next to me.
Or who's going to take my stuff or any
Right.
of those other, other
And
things.
They seem to get most people through there within 30 days or so.
Yeah.
You know, which is incredible. You know, once you can give someone a little bit of stability, it makes it so much easier, I think, for them to make that next step.
Yeah. I think the business improvement zone district was really interesting. I know that they implemented something like that in Ann Arbor, and I don't really know if there's any, that you would have a better handle on this than I, if there's any appetite for doing something like that here, you know, because it is basically you're taxing yourself as a business owner or property owner.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we've got Downtown Bloomington Inc., but that's not their purpose. That's not how they're funded. You know, so it would be getting everyone together to be like, we need to go in on this. I was hopefully going to get through our debrief, not get through it, but get to our debrief and then try to be like, hey, is this something we should talk to local business owners? Is this something that we feel like we need to do to help those in need and also still create a environment that everyone can do business in and wants to open businesses, you know?
One of the other things that I had to take away, and this was something from our Built for Zero conference, but talking about just, you know, the fact that you are helping somebody get housed is not just help for them. It's really help for the community.
Yes.
Right. So that whole idea that you were describing where people are like, we need to help individuals because this is ultimately going to help our community, both their contributions to it when they're stabilized, but also just, you know, makes the community a better place to live.
Of course.
And addresses all the challenges that we hear from the business community.
Yeah, when I was speaking in Boulder with Travis, one of the Illuminators, you know, one of the things that was fascinating, we were just walking from the church to the library, and that, you know, you have these meetings that are great, but it's almost those in-between times where you're like really getting like really interesting info, especially when it's from someone that was unhoused as of a few months ago, and this program's really been working for him. And I was talking to him about, you know, businesses and how they kind of coexist, because it's something that at the Chocolate Moose has been ongoing for my 11 years there, and I'm sure before that. And he said something really interesting where he said, most of our unhoused community sees the value in businesses doing well, and then kind of act accordingly, because if the businesses can thrive, the community can thrive, then there's going to be more resources to help us out. And I thought that was fascinating. I never thought about, hey, let's get everyone together and see if we can get on the same page, where it's like, help us help you. And then that's also where, you know, the asset base comes in, where like, hey, what can you help us with? Like, or what is going to make you feel fulfilled? Or as, you know, the pastor put it, what brings you joy, you know? So yeah, that was really cool. I'm excited for our debrief.
Yeah.
On that. That's going to be great.
Hopefully I can remember by that time.
I know. Well, dude, I took like 8 pages of notes, and it's pure just word vomit.
Yeah.
Where it was just, you know, I haven't gone through and like formatted, or it's just, you know, as things were happening, I'm just typing it out.
Yeah.
So at least I have those to reference back to.
I also need to point out that you were our like restaurant guru guide during that trip. Just like, here's like 50 different options and links to their pages, and
I know my role. You know, I know what I'm good at. Yeah, it was you know, I was surprised to be invited on the trip. I was very grateful for it. I paid my own way. The city didn't pay for it. But it was cool. It was a very informative, enlightening, and it was something that, again, I'm just grateful to be invited on. And it's because it's just we have so many people that are in need. It's something that is so visible in our community, and so there's so many opinions on it. And I'm sure you've seen that, and that's where I want to pivot to you. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of opinions, it strikes me that there is, and to be clear, Mary Morgan refuses to talk to me mostly. So this is the first time. This is the first time that I've heard any of this description of what went on in Colorado.
Well, do you want to do this once a week and we just won't record it? I only charge $100 an hour.
But I mean, I'm intrigued actually by this notion of you know, changing the question from what you need to what do you like to do, or what do you know how to do? What are you good at?
Right.
Because I think that there's an analog to civic life, and that is we always ask what's your opinion? We want to find out what people's opinions are. We give people 3 minutes at the public mic at meetings to express their opinions on anything, right? And I think if we change the question to, what do you know about this topic, or what questions do you have that are unanswered, that we would get a different outcome for the kind of civic participation that we have at our public meetings and in our correspondence in emails. That if we make clear, or if appointed and elected officials made clear that what we're interested in is not just your opinion, what you think, what should we do, but rather we want to know, like, what are the interesting questions. And if we turn people into, tap the resource that people have, that exists in our community for people's expertise by inviting them into the question process. There's a phase in all the city council discussions on a topic where they give themselves time to ask questions. There's a question time. None of this is written down, by the way. This is their custom. This is not a part of Robert's rules. This is the custom that they adhere to, in some ways more rigidly than they follow actual laws. But there's a question period, and then there's a comment period. For the public, there's no question period for the public. The public only gets comments. And if you dare to ask a question, the immediate response is, well, this is not a time for back and forth.
Wow.
Right? And that's understandable. If you don't know how it works, and you show up to the public mic and you say, I just want to know, and you say your question and you stand there waiting for the answer, well, then they're not going to answer, because that's not how it works. And that's a really common phrase you hear. Now is not a time for back and forth. So when is the time for the public to just ask a question? So the thing we never really systematically do with the public in our process, and this is not just the city council, this is county government and all the other parts of city government, we don't design in a time for people who live here to just ask, here's my question. What are your questions? So
I think it would be better. It would lead to better opinions, probably.
Yeah. So actually, this idea of changing the first encounter, changing the way that whether it's we're trying to figure out how to get that person housed, or whether we're trying to figure out how to get this person engaged in our civic process so that we can eventually appoint them to the Board of Public Works.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Which isn't boring.
Which is not boring. So anyway, I'm glad you asked her that.
Yeah, no, we hadn't had a chance
it's
to really
couples
talk
counseling.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just like, hey, now's as good of a time as any to talk about it.
Sure.
And I think it is great that the administration is doing stuff like that to try to get some insight. There's not going to agree on everything, but at least that's inviting myself. I think it's a good thing. Everything else aside, that in and of itself is a good thing. One thing before we start talking food, because we have limited time, have you in your time ever blown the lid on anything? I feel like as a journalist or covering, I want to know, you know what I mean? Have you ever had a time where you're like, ooh, I broke this story and it really shook things up? Has that happened in your time in Ann Arbor and Bloomington?
I should have a list of those things. I don't.
Okay, yeah.
It has happened.
But it has happened.
Yeah.
You're just you see something that other people don't see, and you're I'm going to...
But let me just give you an example of something I was working on today.
Yeah.
This is nice and boring regular government stuff.
Oh, this is great.
Towing fees.
Okay, yes, yeah.
All right, so not just regular towing, but non-consensual towing.
Right.
So the city council is going to have in front of it 2 ordinances on Wednesday this is the week after Thanksgiving. So not tomorrow, but December 3rd.
Perfect, because this episode I think will come out December 2nd. So.
Okay, great. So on December 3rd, the city council will be considering 2 separate ordinances, one for regular towing, city-initiated stuff. So if you're blocking a driveway to the point where they have to tow
right.
your car. So it's the government saying, come tow this car versus the Taco Bell saying somebody parked in our lot who's not a customer.
Tows people? That's weird. Never heard of that. Like, why'd you say Taco Bell, Dave?
Yeah. So here's, the staff memos, this is from the legal department. These are the lawyers. These are the attorneys. They write a summary of what the ordinances are about. And for both of these ordinances, they portray it as, well, this is just a fee increase. The fees haven't been increased in 5 years. We're calibrating them to surrounding jurisdictions like Monroe County and Indiana University. And they don't provide you a fee schedule for these other places. I hunted for it a while today. I didn't come up with anything. What I'm reporting is, they don't include this in the material. But the interesting thing that they also did not include in their summary is the fact that there's currently the option to get your vehicle released to pay 20% and agree to a payment plan. That's an option. So you have to prove you own the thing,
right?
And then you have to pay the fees, or 20% plus agreement to a payment plan. They've eliminated that as a part of the proposed ordinance change. There's no mention of it in the memo that summarizes. Another feature that they have changed that there's no mention of in the memo is the clock when it starts for when you start accruing storage fees. Currently, it's 24 hours. So they can't charge you a storage fee until you hit the 24-hour mark of when your car's been in their possession or at their facility. They're reducing that to 12 hours. And they're adding the ability of a towing company to charge a $75 fee for pickup outside of regular hours. So these are three elements that have an impact on the person who owns the car being towed.
Right.
That I think, at least should get a mention in the memo, if not the headline. And so it's in my headline for the preview that will run tomorrow.
So is this being introduced by a city council member? How did this come about?
The No Dishes podcast is brought to you by visitbloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurant and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town. The Bloomington Town Planner is a community calendar owned and published by local residents John and Sharon Martin. Mailed out to Bloomington homes in December of each year, it features school schedules and community events. And don't forget the coupons at the bottom of the calendar. They'll save you money and help you decide on the next restaurant or retailer to check out here in the Bloomington area. Town Planner also has an online calendar which can be found at townplanner.com. Make sure to sign up for their weekly e-newsletter so you can stay on top of all the fun events going on around town.
This is administration initiated. This is the
mayor's office.
Well, I wouldn't say the mayor's office. This is it's the attorney's office.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know exactly actually which department of the city would have initiated this, except that.
Yeah, I'd be interested to learn more about why. Because all of that is just like we're just going to help the tow companies.
Well, and it connects to my work because about a month ago, we were helping a veteran who lived in his car and he'd stepped away for some reason and his car got towed. Now, okay, your car gets towed, but it was so we helped him get it out of the towing lot. The amount that we ended up paying was more than he had paid for the car. And it's just, and he needed that car. I mean, it was his home. It was a way for him to get to work. It was like a lifeline. And so when you're adding fees and you're taking away the ability for somebody to manage payment, right? So how many people are going to have $400 if they're living on the edge, $350, $400 or whatever it is? So I feel like this is an issue of an example of systemic changes that are made that keep people in poverty and make it more difficult for people to lift themselves out.
100%.
But to me, the significant thing is that this is not like sexy investigative journalism. This is, I just read the thing.
But it's so necessary because otherwise people aren't going to know that.
And I noticed that, well, wait a minute, this seems like you've buried the lead. So, if I assigned a reporter to report on what's in this ordinance, and they gave me a summary that somehow missed the fact that, okay, there are these 3 elements that have an impact on the owner of the vehicle that's been towed. Now, you can debate the policy merits of that, but there's no denying that that's an important thing that needs to rise to the surface and that elected officials need to understand. So if it's your job, and I think it's the city attorney's job, that whole department's job, to make sure that the city council, they understand the stuff that the residents of this community might yell at them about, right? If they enact it. Now, maybe the arguments are there to convince the city council that, yeah, this is actually a good idea. But to me, that needs to be front and center in the staff memo about that. You ask a question about like blowing the lid off things.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't really blowing the lid off things, but I am the reason why the trash cart fees got increased mid-year.
How dare you? I'm just kidding.
No, don't brag about that.
They were supposed to be increased at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And
it just never happened.
It didn't happen, and I think that we should find out who specifically is to blame, and ask them to figure out a way to restore the $48,000 that was not collected. But that's just me. I'm not the mayor.
I'm going to focus on you helping with the tow stuff.
But anyway, yeah. So to me, that would not. I mean, I don't know how long it would have gone.
Yeah, no, but it's very. As much as I'm joking, and it's like, like it's necessary. Like people with your inquisitive mind need to be doing this type of work.
Yeah,
reading these things and being like, yeah, why isn't this in the memo? I wish, because now I'm fascinated by tow fees and like all that. Like, because I remember when they first. I can't believe it was 5 years ago, but I remember when they were having this debate in the past about capping it, things getting out of control, kind of setting some more standards.
That's right.
And it felt like much more recent, but I'll be out of state. I'd love it, but I'm sure you'll write about that city council meeting where they discuss that.
Probably so, yeah.
So I can get...
Yeah.
See, it doesn't matter.
Well,
See, I don't have to watch the whole thing. I just go to
Bsquare
Bulletin.
proxy.
Yes.
But even with the... what was I going to say? I don't know.
Let's talk about food.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got 5 minutes, and and I know you guys like to go out to eat.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe more than I do, and that's saying something.
Ooh, how often do you go out to eat a week?
A lot.
How many times he doesn't go out?
Yeah.
How many times?
Well, so I just did a Costco run for the first time in a while, so I've actually been good lately. I go to Greenwood to go to Costco.
Okay.
It's just so much better than Sam's Club. And I'm a guy living on my own. I need to buy in bulk.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
That makes total sense, dude.
I never said I was
so many
fiscally
questions.
But no, normally I do eat. I mean, I don't even know how to put a number on it. A lot. I mean, how I started with no dishes and everything was the bingo game, and that's how I started writing the food reviews. And I blacked out my bingo card before other people got a regular bingo because I was just like, I'm eating out 2 or 3 times a day. I've gone down significantly since then. But yeah, I know you guys used to go. I'd see you in Metalworks once in a while, but I want to. Where are your favorite places to go?
Ooh, we were just pre-gaming about that.
I wanted to set the scene that you guys know what you're talking about. Is my point.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I asked Dave before we got on this was, "What's your favorite restaurant?"
Yeah, it's so sad, but my favorite restaurant in Bloomington is no longer here. It's Function Brewing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is the place that we live above, right?
I don't know if you wanted me telling people where you lived. That's why I bit my tongue on the middle and saying, yes. I think you guys are pretty open about it. Yeah.
I mean, people know.
Well, Mary's always filling us in on what's happening on parking on 6th Street.
That's right. My favorite fetish.
Yeah, we want College Walnut back in parking, right?
Oh, no.
You're like, Jordan, we don't have enough time. All right, sorry.
But that place was special. Steve and Arlen made that place special. I looked forward to going down there and eating just because, well, they kept servers long enough so that we didn't have to teach them They once they learn that, oh, these are the old people who live upstairs, they're set in their ways.
Yeah.
And and when we would get a new server, I would I would have the opportunity.
There you go. Nice. Good catch.
Well, the joke I like to tell to the new servers at Function Brewing, because they named all the beers after math things. And I always ordered Theorem because I like the word theorem. I couldn't even tell you what kind of beer it was.
Just like the word.
I just like theorems,
Yeah.
And so I would say, you know why I always order Theorem? And they would dutifully say, no, I don't. Please tell me. And I said, the answer to the question is because I always want to have something to prove. Because that's what you do with a theorem. You prove it, right? So
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the one young woman who I introduced her to Function Brewing her first night with that joke, and she laughed so hard, and then she ruined it by saying, "Oh, I love dad jokes."
I don't remember it at all.
Oh man. Well, I will say we're having Thanksgiving dinner at Farm. This has become a bit of a tradition.
I know you're a fan of Doug's.
Yeah, fan of Doug's. We've got our own little curly Q straws that he made for regulars, although he hasn't broken those out for a while. But
Doug Spradley, step it up, bud. I love Doug.
Yeah. But I mean, we feel, I feel really fortunate that we're living where we are. So I feel like, all the restaurants are in our backyard.
Oh yeah.
Essentially.
You just pop down, go wherever. So yeah, we got Farm, we've got a place that's closed, which deserves all the love. Function was amazing.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite places to visit?
Well, here's what I like about Uptown. One of the things I like about Uptown. So when they get the persimmon pudding in the fall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so good.
It'll eventually show up on the chalkboard. But if you keep your eye on the calendar, you can ask, right? And you can be one of the first people who gets it because they sort of fiddle around with the recipe or whatever. And so the fun of knowing it's going to be on the menu and asking, knowing, being an insider in that sense.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be an Uptown taste tester?
Right.
So good.
The Boo is a fun destination.
Yeah.
It's also fun to call it the Boo.
I know. I can tell Mary loves calling it the Boo just by her reaction.
Yeah, it's a thing. Pat at Trojan Horse.
Yeah.
Love her.
She worked at the old Yogis back in the day.
Yeah.
She's a career server.
She is. She's amazing.
Ass,
yeah. She knows us. She knows what we like, brings out stuff that we like before we order. That's always fun.
I like to call restaurants by nicknames. So the Boo.
Yep.
From Malibu Grill.
Troho.
Oh, no.
Trojan Horse? You don't call Trojan Horse Troho?
No.
Tango Hotel.
Oh, interesting.
So the idea is use the NATO phonetic alphabet to abbreviate. So it's Tango Hotel.
So no one ever knows what you're talking about.
But it's total insider stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm modeling it. I'm modeling this after something that I learned in Ann Arbor. So there's a place called Old Town. That was our go-to place in Ann Arbor. Shout out to Old Town.
There you go. Yeah, you snuck one in right at the end.
Nice.
But yeah, people on social media would refer to it as Oscar Tango. And I thought, yeah, that's a pattern.
OT? Yeah. No, that one makes a little more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
What than
the Tango.
Oscar Tango. What is it?
Tango Hotel.
Tango
Hotel. Yeah, but I mean,
it's TH. Yeah, I get it.
Tango Hotel. But I mean, I don't know. So I don't think it'll ever really take off. But
I mean, if it hasn't yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it should.
And then one more, Oscar. Oh, what's L? What's L in
Office
the NATO?
Lounge?
Yeah, Office Lounge.
Oh, a little butt steak?
Yes.
Little country bobs?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what the best thing is? There's one server there. If you order butt steak, she will say, How do you want your ass cooked?
Oh, I like God. If that's not the most Office Lounge thing I've ever heard in my life.
That is so Office Lounge.
Well, what a great note to end on. I love that. How do you like your ass cooked? All right, Dave, Mary, thank you so much. I'm sorry we don't even have more time to chat, but I've really enjoyed this, and maybe it gives us an excuse to run it back sometime. So
nice.
Thanks for taking the time to come on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Cheers.
Bye.
You're still here. You made it, champ. I'm proud of you. Thanks to Gameday Men's Health, all of our other sponsors, and to G Baby Garrett with Green Hat Media. See you next time. This episode of the No Dishes podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.